Hello, welcome to Searching for Scary. I'm hoping to give you guys some great reviews and maybe something to read this coming week or weekend or whenever you got a time to do it. I'm gonna try to put more and more videos out. I've been doing like one a week, and it was like movie, comic, and a book recommendation, which I'm still gonna do that. But I spend a lot of time reading comic books, and they're so quick. They're so cheap, easy to get your hands on, and you as the reader can get through them in like 15 minutes for the most part, as long as you can read it from straight to end. Basically, reading a comic book is like one shit. Like if you read while you're, on the pot, like it should be like a one comic to one shit ratio, unless it's like a, like a double-sized comic, something like that. So kind of keep that in mind. So I'm going to give you guys more and more comic reviews. I am still going to keep doing the movies and the books because I just love everything horror. But the comic reviews, I think, are really like my pride and joy because I love it. And I think that there's so many great things coming in comics. And there's so many of them that there's something for everybody. Like a book, it takes, months and months, if not a year or longer, for a book to come out. So, to go from a great idea to on paper to getting published to actually in your local bookstore is a lengthy process, which still is a comic, but because the comic is only 24 pages, and most of these comic places are putting out new stuff literally every week, and they know exactly what's coming up, when it's coming up, who's doing it. They have the artists to do it. It's just a lot more consistent. So, anyways, enough of me ranting. Let's get on with it. The big one for this week is going to be The Conjuring. It is by DC. It is called Conjuring The Lover. I've seen the movie, the last movie, and all the Conjuring movies for that point, but this comic book was really supposed to tie into the last movie, and it does. Let me show you the cover here. So here's the cover. The Lover, I guess that's the name of like the demon woman in the one that's, or the witch woman who's like doing all the stuff in the movie. Sorry, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. But the comic I thought was actually better than the movie, and I say that because it's not like so heavily focused on Ed and Lorraine. I think Ed and Lorraine are great. They're great characters. I think the people, the actual real life people were great. I don't know how true everything was. I know I'm wrong. I'm a believer in horror stuff, but some of their stuff I think was meant to make sales, and while some of it I'm sure was totally true. So maybe it was just some of it was just like extending on the truth. Either way, movie was fine, but the comic book I think is even better. This first issue, and that's all that's out so far. I think the second issue comes out in like a few weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks from now. But the first issue is really just, it's about a girl, and you see her kind of just going through her life, through her regular everyday, stuff. Being a student and, having home life and all that kind of stuff. And I think what makes it so good, and what to me is different from like every other horror series there is out there, whether it's books, comic books, whatever, is that she doesn't know. She has no idea that this thing is after her. And as you're reading this, like, it really wouldn't work too well as like a book or a movie unless somebody was really being like super observant, or they had like really, really good details in the book. The comic book is just a perfect medium for this because there's things going on like in the background, in the pictures of the comic book. The artist does a really great job of kind of showing you that these like entities are looking for her, they're hunting for her, but she has no idea. She's just going through like her regular everyday life, and it doesn't tell you why or what's going on or what caused this. But nonetheless, these things are coming for her, and it's, to me, it kind of was scary. It was a little bit more chilling than like, oh my god, it's Michael Myers or something. Because this is, if you are a believer in like the occult or some sort of like dark arts, these things are exactly what that's based on. That people could curse you. You could have a witch that just doesn't like the way you look. Or maybe you just fit the criteria for something that they need to do, and you're the victim. Doesn't have to do anything with you. They don't even know who you are, but it still happens. And so it is kind of creepy, and it's a good story. And that's actually only half of this book is that story. And so I think that as the comic book continues and it's going to be like a 5-issue run, that's going to be the story that you are focusing on and that you're going to keep reading about this girl. The second half of the book, though, and this, in my opinion, was even better, is like a mini story or like a short horror story. And I'm hoping that with the rest of these issues, they're going to keep following the same like pattern of like the first half of the book is the ongoing series and story, and the second half of the book is like a totally separate just horror story that they threw in there. And so this story is really good. It's about a man who is going somewhere like in the middle of the night, like at 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. or something scary, probably 3 a.m. And he hops into this Uber and he's telling the Uber driver to go to like this really weird address, and the Uber driver is like, what are you doing? Like, where are you taking me at 3 a.m.? Like, I don't really want to take you here. And the guy starts telling him the story. He's like, look, just drive. I'll tell you why or what happened. And his story is, he's basically telling us and the driver why he's going to this place because he has to get rid of a curse. And he's telling you about the curse and how it happened. And it is, it stems back to when he was a kid. Somebody died, and I forget who it is, but somebody in his family died, and the other kids in the group were like daring him to steal the coins off of this dead body, and just coins in the eyes. And he does it just because he's like trying to be cool with the other kids, and he's a little kid, and he goes home, doesn't think anything of it, and from that point on in his life, bad stuff keeps happening, and people he loves keep dying. And like it just like he tells you these stories, and it's just like one after the other. Anytime something good in this guy's life happens, it's immediately taken away from him, or the person immediately dies. And it's just like crazy. And as you're reading it, you're like, okay, this might not be a curse, or this could totally just be like really bad luck. Like you're just a really unlucky person. But as they get closer to the end of the story, you realize like, no, it's definitely a curse. And obviously, I mean, it's a horror book, right? Like, they're not going to be like, psych, gotcha. And this wasn't scary at all. He's just a terrible person. No, like, it's part of the curse. It's really good. The ending, I don't want to say it's a twist. You might see it coming maybe like, a few pages before. But it's really, really good. I thought that was the best part of this book. And as far as, like, The Conjuring is concerned, in my opinion, and I mean, maybe I'm in the minority here, but I feel like if they were to focus more and more on these short stories and like almost make like an anthology, it would be better. Like the full length movies are great, and you get to like really dive into the characters and stuff. But for the most part, a lot of the Conjuring movies, it's 2 hours of movie, really based around like 15 minutes of events. And it's like 30 minutes to run up to like this, 2-minute event, and then that's it. And then another 30 minutes to get to like these, the next 2 minutes of like, oh, this is something scary is happening. And it kind of follows that same pattern every time. And like I said, I'm buying it. I pay for it. I watch it. But if they were to make an anthology where it's just like, hey, look, let's just get to it, like 5 minutes or 15 minutes of just like bam, 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 and kind of keep you on the edge, especially if you could keep it with the same characters, because I think the biggest drawback with doing anthologies is you don't really get to get like in depth with the characters. But if it's one person who's being haunted like their whole life, you could literally just make like a 15-minute like, boom, this event happened when they were 6. All right, let's jump to the next one. This happened when they were 12, and just kind of keep it going. And you get to know this character, know what's going on, and you get to just get to the meat of the action. You're not having me sit there through like a bunch of dialogue that goes nowhere. Anyways, all in all, I give this book great ratings. If I had to do like a 1 out of 5 kind of thing, for me, it's like, I would say like a solid 3.5 to 4. It's really, really good. The writing's good. The art's really good. Story in general is really good. The movie that goes along with is good. The tie-in is kind of a loose tie-in, but it works. The only reason I don't give it like a 5 or like a solid 4 is just because it's not scary in that like, oh my god, I can't sleep, this is really staying with me kind of thing. It's more of just like a scary, like you read it and you're like, wow, that was really good, and then you go to the next thing. So check it out. I don't know if you can still find it. at like a comic book store, you can definitely find these on like eBay, probably for like $5. So not a huge investment there. If anything, you can try to collect the series moving forward. I think, like I said, the next one comes out in like 2 or 3 weeks. So just keep an eye out for it. Last thing I want to go over though, and this is really just kind of like a B plot or B story, is the next. It's called Frank at Home on the Farm, and the cover I'm showing here is cover 3, but it's just like the most disturbing picture, I guess, disturbing cover that was on these. So it is by Scout Comics. It's only 4 issues, and it's totally done. Like the whole series has been made already. It's completely wrapped up. I've read them all. As you can tell from the cover, they're $4 a piece. So again, not like a huge investment. Even if you can't find these in the store and you have to go to like eBay or something, they're not super expensive. It's like $5, I think, for the most part. Especially if you can find like one person that's going to sell you all 4, shipping shouldn't be an issue. This is more for the fans of like psychedelic horror. If you like stuff where it's not like a slasher, or really has like, there's no like blood and guts in it necessarily, and not even like demons. It's just like strictly psychological horror, just what is in this guy's mind. And you can probably tell from this cover, but basically animals start talking to him, and it gets really trippy, really fast. I'm just going to give you a quick synopsis without trying to spoil anything. So issue 1, you get this man coming home from World War I, and he doesn't really say it, and the comic doesn't really allude to it early on, but you kind of get the feeling that maybe he's got like PTSD or something. And obviously World War I, we didn't have, wasn't quote unquote PTSD yet. So he comes home to a farm where his mom and dad are supposed to be at, and I think his brother, and nobody's there. Like the animals are there, so clearly his family was there recently, but his family's not. And so he starts looking for them, he's starting to care for the animals, and he can't find them anywhere. He's looking through the woods, all this other kind of stuff, and he ends up going into like town, the quote unquote town that he's close to, and he's like, hey, my dad is so and so, my mom is so and so, you know where they're at? Like, they go on vacation. I know they have a vacation home somewhere, and the people in the town are like, no, we've never heard of that name. We have no idea who you're talking about. And he's telling him, he's like, look, we don't live in town. We're like right outside, but it's like walking distance. Like, what do you mean? Like, my mom and dad lived here for years. Like, none of you know their names. Like, they come to these stores, and everybody in the town is like, nope, I have no idea who you're talking about. And so he goes back home to find, like, see if he can find more clues, or maybe see what his next step is going to be. And as he's getting ready, one of the animals starts talking to him and telling him that they know what happened to his parents. And he is like, okay, I'm going crazy. And that's pretty much how the first one ends. The rest of the series follows that plot line of, like, he is probably kind of crazy because the animals are talking to him, and nobody else can see the animals talking. And anytime he's talking to the animals, there's nobody else around. But at the same time, the animals are also acting like animals. So, like, he wakes up in the morning, the animals are outside, they're in the barn, they're eating grass, they're just doing their regular animal stuff. It's not until, like, he comes inside that they follow him in. Or, like, he'll come in and they'll be sitting at the table that they are in his cover, and they're eating, and they're like, they start talking to him, and they're telling him not like horrible things, not like we're gonna kill you or anything, but just like stuff that he probably doesn't want to know. Like, they're telling him that, like, other people are against him, that his family is like missing, and that the town is all in on it, and that they're like trying to get his land from him. And it's just really weird because the whole time you're reading this story, you're like, okay, I'm seeing this through the eyes of like an insane person, or is something else going on here, like something supernatural? Where are his parents? This is really weird. And I'll be honest with you, like, the first 3 comics are really good, but you're kind of left wondering, like, okay, what the hell am I reading exactly? Like I don't know what perspective we're supposed to be getting here, and it's not until the fourth issue that everything kind of gets put full circle and they tie a nice little bow on it. Scout Comics has been really killing it. If you haven't been paying attention to them, they have a lot of good titles out there, and I love like the miniseries. I know a lot of people don't like that, like they want an ongoing thing, but to me, a miniseries is awesome because you get a conclusion. Like for years, I read Spider-Man and superhero stuff, and it's great. I still read those, but there's never a conclusion, and there's never really any like consequence with those. Marvel's not going to kill off Spider-Man. Iron Man is going to come back from the dead. Batman's not going to ever really die. So there's not like any real consequence with that, other than maybe like side characters. But also there's no conclusion. It's not like Marvel's gonna be like, oh yeah, so this is the last Spider-Man run ever. After this he's gonna be 90 years old and we'll never use him again. Like no, he's gonna be 25 for eternity and that's it. With these little mini runs, you get like this. There is a conclusion. There is something on the line for each of these characters, and it doesn't always work out for them. A lot of these independent comics, they're getting away from that like happy ever after ending, and it really works, especially for adults, because kids, yes, I get it, like you want them to be happy, you don't want to be freaking them out. But for adults, like a lot of the time, we don't always want that perfect little, like, oh my god, it's a great little fairy tale. Like, no, this is going to get real, it's going to get dirty, it's going to get bad, it's going to get ugly. It's a horror comic series. That being said, check this out. Check this comic book out. Like I said, it's not very expensive, relatively easy to find. I'll put some links in the video below to both of these comic books. I am selling them, by the way, so I have extra issues of this, so just full disclosure, I'm going to link it to my sales, but you don't have to buy it from me. You can buy it anywhere you want, your local comic book shop, other online comic shops. Just keep an eye out for them. I think they're really good. I can't promise you they're going to gain in value. They probably won't actually. But if you're just a real big horror fan, or maybe you have kids and you think one day they're going to like horror stuff, good to just hold on to these. They're just really great stories that if you don't take care of them, and if you don't have like possession of them, they're going to eventually kind of fade into oblivion, like 99% of movies and books and everything else that comes out. And so if you have these like in your closet somewhere, if you have these preserved, it's just a cool little like nostalgia piece to give to your kids as they get older, even for yourself to go back and read it and be like, oh man, this is really good. Nobody else has ever heard of this, especially like 20 years from now. When you're like, oh, this is really good. And you can be that person to be like, man, have you ever even heard of this? And some kid or your kid or your friend is going to be like, nope, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. And then you can bust this bad boy out. So, anyways, hope you guys found this informative. I'm going to have a few more videos coming out really in like really quick succession, because I have about 3 other comic books I want to review, and then I have about 2 or 3 movies I want to review, and then I have a book that I want to review. So some mix and match of those is going to be like my comic book movie review video, and then the rest are going to be like individuals. So you'll be hearing a lot from me and hopefully seeing a lot of these covers pretty soon. Please like and subscribe. Appreciate any support, guys. Hopefully I am always giving you guys something to read or to watch, or something to just kind of get your scare on. So thank you again. Have a great day, and be looking for me very soon.